Second hour again, a little game of true or false with Chase DeLauder, won the Player of the Week in the American League for the Guardians.
I mean, that's dope.
First guy to do that in Week 1 in a long time. I think it might have been since Manny Ramirez. He's the last guy to win Week 1 for the Player of the Week for the Guardians, and we'll get back to the Cavs later. But we begin the second hour where we finished the first hour, and that's on the Browns, guys. Draft right around the corner. The free agency is essentially over at this point.
Yeah.
And the draft is, 4 weeks from Thursday?
No, less.
3 weeks from Thursday?
3 weeks from Thursday.
3 weeks from Thursday is the draft. Obviously, the Browns have the 6th pick. They have the 24th pick in the draft, as well as all their other picks later. Obviously, we've talked a ton about what the Browns may do. The general consensus from the fans, from us, has been wide receiver and offensive line. I think most of us would like to see those positions both addressed by the latest, the first pick in the second round. But I think most of us would like to see them both addressed in the first round. We'll see what the Browns decide to do. Well, Matt Miller is a longtime NFL draft analyst. And yesterday, most guys put out a 1-round mock draft, sometimes 2, maybe even 3. But Matt Miller decided to do a 7-round mock draft. And we have it, or at least what he picked for the Browns. So, okay, it doesn't say what round, but...
This is in order.
Okay, I can't remember all their rounds. Do they have 2 picks in another round besides the first?
Later in the draft, they have 2 fifths.
So he has them taking Carnell Tate at 6 and a cornerback who we haven't talked about at all. How do you pronounce his last name? Anybody know?
Cisse from South Carolina.
Brandon Cisse, cornerback in the second pick of the first round. He has them taking an offensive tackle, Caleb Tiernan, in the second round.
Yep.
Linebacker Kyle Lewis in the third round, and edge Kayron Crawford in the fourth round. So that would be 3 defensive players with their first 5 picks, which seems a little crazy, but okay. If that's the value, then so be it.
I'm already disgusted. I'll say my thoughts
okay,
till I finish.
Let's go to the second page. So I don't know what rounds these guys are. Do we know what rounds?
2 5s, a 6, and a 7.
Okay. So Rashawn Benny, a defensive tackle, and Kevin Coleman, a wide receiver in the 5th round. Safety Deshaun Singleton in the 6th round. And tight end DJ Rogers in the 7th round. What's your first reaction, Mike? Go ahead to this mock draft.
This is disgusting. This is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's not even for the specific players. I'd be lying
Just
to
the
say
positions, yeah.
I know some of the integral parts of the prospect profile for some of the later guys in the later rounds. But there is no way, there is no chance, there is no logical reason for the Browns to leave this 2026 NFL draft with only 1 offensive lineman when they only have about 6 you can count on right now. You take 1 receiver.
You think they have 6 you can count on?
Well, at least be in the rotation. Like that includes
that's
DeJuan Jones and Luke
you only
Whipler.
have 8 or 9 offensive linemen. I mean,
Yeah, we need more.
You're taking more than 1.
Right,
you have a gaping hole at left tackle right now. You're going to use the 2nd pick in the first round on a cornerback, which I don't think is completely out of the realm of possibility, even though I'd like to see that be in the 2nd or 3rd round. Kyle Lewis is a linebacker, an athletic kind of hybrid linebacker. Well, that's what Schlesinger is, and that's what Quincy Williams is. Do you really need to spend a high round capital on that? They have enough edge rushers.
70-something
It's
pick?
the 70th pick.
Okay.
You have Crawford. I know A.J. Epinesa just failed his physical to go back, so maybe that's a depth pick. But they have enough depth at certain positions. There is not enough depth at the receiver position. There's not enough depth in the running back room right now. They didn't take a single running back in this draft. If that's the case and that's how it plays out, they could sign a free agent, but you're counting on Quinshon Judkins, who's coming back from injury, Dylan Sampson, and Rocket Sanders. I'd like to add a little more infusion of talent into that. Yeah. There's just no way the Browns, in my opinion, can leave the draft using 3 of their top 5 picks on defense after spending almost all of their top picks last year on defense, trading out at 2 to 5 to take Mason Graham, using the 33rd pick on Carson Schlesinger. Yeah, they hit a home run with Judkins and Harold Fannin later in the draft, but this offense needs an infusion of talent, G. It needs an infusion of talent, and if you're going to wait to 39 to take Caleb Tiernan, he's on that next tier of offensive linemen. There's a chance that 6, 7, even 8 offensive linemen go in the first round. Tiernan's not anyone in those conversations. So you're going to take a guy in Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern who may project as a project. You're not taking a project that high in the 2nd round. The Browns need offensive weapons, offensive playmakers for Shedeur, for Deshaun, for whoever ends up in that quarterback battle, for Todd Monken to deploy in his system. I hate everything about this mock.
I had to go to the chief analyst. We you know what I'm saying? Like, look, we might need to challenge this. This is unacceptable. I'm with you. What do you think? I think this is challenge worthy.
ABS?
Right?
Yes, ABS.
Anthony!
Red flag.
Give me the flag. Challenge this. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
It's a challenge on the mock.
There's a challenge on the mock draft. Nasty work. Then work has been nasty. Throw it up. This is crazy. Put this mock draft up. More flags.
Oh.
This is wild. McNuggets, I totally concur. Look at these picks. This screams, I'm about to just any, mini, miny, mo this thing. It's the Browns. Who cares? They got 2 first-round picks. Why would you get a corner? If he can't play outside, he's not Tyson Campbell. He just came out and told you that they can't bring Martin Emerson back because guess why? Tyson Campbell and Denzel Ward are kind of good and he ain't getting no minutes.
Is Cisse a slot corner?
Unless he's a slot corner, he's not getting drafted. Then you take the Tiernan guy. This dude is a project at best. He's not mocked in the second round. Nobody's taking this guy from Northwestern. There's multiple tackles and guards rated. I would rather take a guard higher than this guy. Kyle Lewis, thank you, McNuggets. What, you just went and got another linebacker with Schlesinger. You had just picked up Quincy Williams. You've allocated money towards that. Why would you take this guy?
I like Lewis as a prospect,
but
not for the
us.
Browns.
Not for us.
Not when there's gaping holes at receiver and offensive line and running back.
Crawford at edge. You just signed Alex Wright. How many more guys do you want? You've already invested in Mason Graham. You've already got Mike Hall Jr. Then he goes after this edge rusher. He goes to a D tackle. You just signed. You got Malik Collins come back. You just signed another defensive lineman.
Kalia
Davis. Then you finally get back to Kevin Coleman at wide receiver when you could have had multiple guys on the board that could have been there ready available for you. It may not be Casey Concepcion. It may not be Brazel, but there's definitely Hurst could be there. There's a lot of other receivers that could be available to you. Deshaun Singleton, the safety. We went back with safety and the tight end when we just signed 7 tight ends in free agency, the block.
Jack Stoll.
What are we talking about here? This is nasty work.
These guys are known for getting worked up. I mean, G. Bush and Mikey, both known for their bad tempers. On the other hand, am a very calm individual. I rarely get worked up.
Skinny Bull is very calm.
And so I gotta say,
low carb bull.
I gotta say, you guys are way off base here. Now, in a perfect world, would I like to see them draft more offensive linemen and more wide receivers early? Sure. But you know why? You know why for the first time? Like, Andrew Berry has been a terrible drafter, but last year he wasn't. Why? It's not some ridiculous conspiracy theory about Paul DePodesta. What happened was he finally realized what the good teams do, and hopefully he will continue to do that this year. You don't win reaching on a position where there's not value. You win by drafting the best players available. So to blindly say, and again, I don't know the draft well enough to say that that's the case, but to blindly say, well, I can't take a defensive player I need. Well, just because you need something doesn't mean there's quality available. All right? Now, maybe there's, first, plus it's a mock draft, so who cares? I'm not going to get that worked up about it. Would I like to see them take? Do I think they'll probably draft multiple offensive linemen? Yes, I do. I think they will. If this guy is as big a project as G. Bush says he is he the right pick? Do I not like that? Fine. I'll take your word for it and say, let's take another offensive lineman. But I'm not going to get worked up. You know, sometimes building onto a strength is the way to go. The Browns are not destined to be very good. Poor G. Bush. The Browns are not destined to be very good on defense forever. You got to keep filling in. I get it. They need things on offense, but you can't force it. If it's not available, you don't reach on players that are not worthy of their spot. So I will hold on to this flag and say, no, G. Bush, it is appropriate.
Yeah, low carb bull tripping.
The only reason he liked that is because Caleb Downs fell to him in his mock draft.
That is true.
For the Bengals.
No,
you do that.
No, I actually want Sonny Styles.
So that's even worse.
Sonny Styles ain't
That's even crazy.
Wait a second.
Sonny Styles ain't
Wait a second, G. They took. You're not unhappy with the 6th pick, right?
Listen,
that's the only thing you guys didn't complain about.
No, the 6th pick is okay. After that,
so that's trash.
Yeah. Let me set you up, Mike. Let me set you up. Boy, this low carb boy, you out of pocket.
No, you guys are wrong. This idea that you just draft a position because you need it is how you fail as an organization.
We finna go to church. We got the chat into it.
Take it to church, Earl.
The chat is, no offense to the chat, they're dumb as a stuff.
G, Your grandmother probably used to sing this. Us three, we agree. This draft is cheeks, right?
Super.
Let the panel say this draft is cheeks. Let the panel say this draft is cheeks.
You can't mix a Negro spiritual with cheeks. The old Negro spiritual, the cheeks draft. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't mix that. That's super pause worthy.
Yeah.
Low carb bull, I will tell you this.
Yeah.
If you come out of this thing and you come out of here with no top flight receivers and no top
Well,
flight
you drafted
tackles,
one at 6. He better be top flight.
but then you go with this watered down version after that, bro.
Steve, will you pull up the first 5 picks again? Once again, I have not done a deep dive on all the
I
prospects.
get it. I just think you're getting too worked up about it, is all I'm saying.
The strength of this draft, if you listen to any of the people who do this for a living,
Yeah.
Jeremiah, McShay,
They don't know.
Brugler.
They don't know. Shouldn't Andrew Berry, in theory, know more than those guys? If he doesn't, fire him.
I'm not saying this mock in
Yeah.
particular. They all say 2 things in particular. The strength of this draft is between about 20 and 50 overall on the big board.
Yeah.
That's where the meat of this draft is. And there's a ton of receivers in that range that are going to go. No, Steve, go back. Leave it on the first one.
Yeah.
In this particular exercise.
First of all, you complained the whole time about offensive linemen, and now you're talking about wide receivers.
Let me get there, Bo.
No.
They're also saying there could be 6 or 7, maybe even 8 if Max Iheanacho, I'm pronouncing his name wrong, out of Arizona State goes in the first round. Those 2 middle spots there, where he had the Browns taking Brandon Cisse at 24 and then Tiernan at 39.
Yeah.
My issue is, and once again, not pretending to be the world's greatest draft expert, those 2 picks are where the Browns can hit legitimate guys in spots where their value and need meet their rankings. Now, the Browns' rankings may be different than the general mock consensus. I don't have access to Andrew Berry's rankings. All I have access to is McShay, Jeremiah, Brugler, Kuiper, all those guys' big boards. And to take a cornerback who's not really rated at that high on anyone's board over offensive linemen in that range,
I wouldn't
and
get
to take
caught up in
Tiernan, who's way too low, over other receivers, just to name a couple names that could be there.
Concepcion,
Chris Bell, Brazel, if Omar Cooper Jr. falls.
They could all be busts.
Then why would we do any of this, Bull? They all could be. I mean,
I'm just saying, you know.
The value there does not make sense with the positions they're taking. That's my point. That's why I hate this.
What if the corner's a slot corner and they think he's going to be the next great slot corner? Is that a stupid pick?
Like if he pans out, but also, what if he's a bust? Then it's a stupid pick.
Well, yeah, same thing.
That's my point. So if we're looking at, if we're judging mock drafts, I'm saying the value of that particular mock draft does not align with the position and player values.
I just don't buy that. As much as, yes, they obviously have needs on offense, I don't buy that. Like last year, we were so angry about Mason Graham, and we'll see, but so far he looks like a pretty good pick. Perfect? I don't know, but he looks like a pretty good pick.
Schlesinger was a perfect pick last year.
You know, so like, and nobody even knew who the hell Schlesinger was, and the guy now feels like he's the next superstar at linebacker.
So real quick, if they draft those guys in those spots, then I'll have that conversation. But my point is, if we're looking at a mock draft projection, the players in those slots don't match up to what they need and the overall player value.
But you initially said my criticism is of the position, not the specific players. Now you've changed that to make it the specific players.
The strength of this draft is the receivers in that 20 to 50 range. And they took a projected offensive lineman who's out of that category.
Hey, listen,
and a
I would like
defensive
them to take. I'd be happy in their first 4 picks if they took 2 linemen and 2 receivers.
You know what Bo wants them to do? As a Bengals fan, he wants them to take 4 safeties. First 4 picks, take 4 safeties. But leave Caleb Downs still 10.
No, I don't. If you come away with Caleb Downs in this draft, or the crazy part,
if Sonny Styles, if he falls to 10.
If he falls to 10.
Yeah, that's what they really need. They need a linebacker more than anything else. They signed a really good safety in free agency, but they didn't address linebacker at all. So.
Now, I will. Is there? And I mean, this ain't the question. Is there any defensive player that if they were to fall, even though the Browns need a defensive guy or a receiver or offensive guys, do you think if any defensive player falls to them at 6, would they take him? Yeah. Like, what's the name?
I've talked about this before. If Sonny Styles gets to 6, you have to have that conversation.
So all this about and yet at 6 they take a defensive player, you're fine.
Do you remember when I was sitting in Earl's chair and we talked about the blue chip prospects? If you get one of the 2 or 3 best players in the draft at 6, then you do it.
Okay, so you're singing a different tune. That's my point.
At 6, not in those spots where the positional value does not match the player.
But that's your opinion. If the Browns' opinion is that the positional,
If I had Andrew Berry's opinion, we'd have Andrew Berry sitting here, but only got my opinion.
Here's what I'm saying.
Talk that talk.
Let's say Andrew Berry thinks, or the Browns as an organization think there are 22 legit Division One, legit first round
Round one
picks,
prospects, yes.
right? And or not even 22. Let's say there's 13, and they're picking at 24, or they're picking at 30, whatever it is, 38, 39. And one of those guys is left, and that only guy is a defense. Is that a bad pick?
No, then you take it.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's what they did last year. Last year it worked.
If the Browns do it versus a projected mock draft,
Yeah.
I know it feels
hear you.
different,
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's
fair.
different. We're mocking versus if the Browns take, for example, if they take.
So you're saying if the Browns draft that corner, you're not going to be ticked on draft day? I know G. Bush is going to be.
Oh, no. Look, I'm going to be beside myself.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Now you give it a chance once it's over.
I mean, yeah, but I would, because you would have to think what they've invested defensively. Now, Andrew Berry came out and said, this is, he did what he said he was going to do. In the free agency, he said, look, we got to figure out this offensive line. He went strategically offensive line. He has to find a receiver. And by the way, if you have a blind spot at receiver and you have not had a top 100 pick to put on a receiver, you're going to need to hit. And if you don't hit on the first one, you got to have some backup on the second one. I would, if I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad if they was like, you know what, we taking 2 receivers in the top. In our first 3 picks, we got 2 receivers to be taken.
Last point. The Schlesinger pick, when it happened, I was on live stream with G.
I went crazy.
We didn't like it. We were proven wrong.
Right.
If Andrew Berry takes a defensive player at one of those spots, if it's a Cisse, if it's Tierman, whatever, we can go crazy and be proven wrong. But if the player doesn't pan out,
We in trouble.
then no, we're fine.
Well, then Andrew Berry's getting fired.
Berry's fired.
No,
Yeah.
we're in
You see the
trouble.
difference? So
We're in
Yeah,
trouble.
Gee, I got a question.
We're in trouble.
Mike, this for you too.
shoot.
Hypothetically, this is so far-fetched, probably not going to happen. Maybe David Bailey. But if, for whatever reason, Arvell Reese was on the board at 6, what are you doing?
Got to consider it.
I can't answer that question, Earl. Why is it only for the 2 of them?
You can answer it.
High carb,
that's not
high
nice.
carb guys
I
only.
apologize.
You left me out.
I'm sorry.
I mean, hey, you got to have the conversation.
I consider.
Absolutely.
I would consider it, but what I would do more is I know somebody else want to go get him. If you're on the board, I'm trading back, and I'm about to get
That's
a
the
king's
only-
ransom.
Nobody's really looking to trade up unless
Something like
weird
that happens.
happens.
And then now it's fleece time.
And by the way,
Fleece
if
Walker.
Love is there at 6, I am seriously considering him.
I agree.
I heard.
I would consider him too.
I heard. What's his name? Oh my God, I can't think of his name.
Kuiper, McShay, Jeremiah.
No, the guy who does all the film breakdowns.
Greg Cosell.
Greg Cosell say he is way better of a prospect than what's his name that the Raiders drafted last year.
Genti.
I agree.
Who was supposed to be an amazing prospect, and he says this guy he is a Bijan Robinson.
He's in that all-time running back
Yeah.
prospect. He may not turn out to be, but
and I know
prospect,
it's not a knock at Judkins.
Oh, I'm good.
But if they drafted him, I don't think they will. But I don't know that he's going to be
and
there.
they still could get a receiver.
But I would, yeah. And then take a receiver later.
still get a
at
receiver.
24.
It's
in the heart of the draft. There you go.
Crazy.
Look, we all
What's
came
that?
together. Kumbaya.
Yeah, man.
They
Yeah.
take Love first,
they
and they take
take
the
Love.
receiver at 24.
Yeah.
That's right in that run of where you could still get one of the top receivers.
Yeah, if they took Love and then a receiver and an offensive lineman between 24 and 39,
G. Bush is going to do it.
I think there are a lot of fans that would be angry
wins.
if they took a running back.
9 wins.
Oh, wow. Now you're getting a little wild. You're getting wild now.
9.
Well, you're going to have a hell of a running game if that
Yeah.
happens.
Look, you got 2 running backs and you got your left tackle, you got a
Yeah.
running back, you got another receiver. Bro, we about to cook. Like, we can literally run the ball. That's
Yeah.
what, like, if you want to, you got a defense, you can run the ball with 2 studded backs like that. And they can, and Love can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Makes your quarterback job
Yeah.
a lot easier.
Come on, man. Come on, them wrist is looking crazy right now. My wrist hurt. That's how heavy these wins gonna be.
Coming up later in the show is James Harden playing better at point guard than anybody else. Is that actually happening right now?
Ever?
Well, we'll get into that. But coming up next, we'll stick with baseball and we'll get into the fact that change of pace for the owner of the Cleveland Browns. Why did he change his mind? And what is it leading to with the Browns quarterback situation? That's coming up on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.